line. Check the radio, pit crew is far from slow. The lights no longer yellow. Ready, steady, go. Crank it up. Oh, it's racing. 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 In love with the ride. Burning rubber smells real nice. Fuel it up once or twice. Come on, fast is the way to drive. Crowds all on their feet. Not one bothered by the heat. Imagine them in the driver's seat. Checkered flag would be sweet. Crank it up. Oh, it's racing. Crank it up. Oh, it's
Under the beautiful skies and the beautiful times of Bristol, Tennessee, we are at Bristol Motor Speedway now live here today for the action and the showcase of Champion Power Equipment's Fast and Fun Cup Series live at the famed Last Great Coliseum. It's time to go racing today on the half-mile-long high bank track. Hi everyone, I am the Crusader Christian Schreiber, joining you guys here today, lining out through our fields and laying out through our drivers. A set of field of guys are ready to get down to business and get down to it, with a who's who of drivers looking to make and break their names in through this series and into this showcase. Should be a good one here today as we get ready to set on the tone and set on the track here. But before we do, of course, there are some drivers we will be talking with and kind of hanging around with for just a minute. So let's go ahead and get down to that here as we will look through our top 10 of drivers here in the playoffs. Of course, in the top seed, the great Janzik is the number 1 seed entering into this one. And then it is going to roll off here with Kyle Holden, the 2nd seed. The 3rd seed is Robert Lawrence. The 4th seed will be Eli Childs. William Mann Jr., that 5th seed. 6th seed is going to be Tyler Meeks with the 7th seed of Jason Taylor. The 8th seed is Caleb Forsythe with the 9th seed of James D. Harris. And Georgie Young is rounding out in the top 10 field of drivers today. And for the record, folks, as well, I know that it looks like I have a little bit of a slowdown on my end on the frame rate. I do not know what is going on with that. I don't know why it is doing that. I don't know what the heck it's doing and what is going on. So all I can presume and predict at this point is iRacing did some kind of update and and our streaming service doesn't really like it that much. So I'm just gonna say that now. Believe me, we're gonna work on it and try and see what we can do. But I make no promises now. Speaking of making no promises, let's just meet the guy that usually doesn't try to make too many promises with us, but he seems to always deliver no matter what it is, and that is the 02, Craig Janzik.
Hey, good afternoon. It's been a few weeks, sir. I hope you've been doing well.
Well, doing better every day, and I'm glad I do not have COVID no more, so I'll take that any day of the week. But Janzik, I mean, I gotta ask you, man, how you feeling today as you are the number 1 seed entering into the first day of the playoffs?
Yeah, you know, it does feel really good to be the number 1 seed in the playoffs. It does carry some additional weight with it. You know, it feels like there's additional expectations that I want to keep for myself, trying to hold myself to a higher standard and stuff. And I do feel like survival here tonight at Bristol is going to be key. Our car, you know, the Elite Performance Industries cars are so fast, as always, and I'm so thankful to be a part of them. I'm just personally having a bit of a difficulty with the right rear, keeping it under me, and I know that my teammate Robbie is as well. So I do feel like it's a problem that we're going to have to deal with together, and we're just going to have to overcome it with our driving prowess instead of just overcoming it with actual raw pace. So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a unique challenge. Bristol's not one of my best tracks. I will be very upfront with that. And, you know, if we survive here tonight and come away with a good, clean finish, we'll definitely have something more for them in Talladega and Homestead in the next 2 weeks if we need to, you know, win a race to lock ourselves into the championship for race at Phoenix. So I've got my agenda laid out, and it's easy to say, but it's another thing to do it.
Well, I was going to ask about that too, Janzik. I mean, your teammates with Robert Lawrence too is also in this playoffs picture. I mean, is there any kind of ill will or any kind of really just that driver old school mentality of wanting to be the best over your teammates here in this case?
It exists, but it's not any type of, I can't describe it as ill intent or malicious at all. Robbie is, you know, when we take the headsets off here and get off the track, we're also really good friends, and that does matter. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like a Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace type thing. You know, we talk every day and stuff, and there's additional layers to it like that. So I would be just as happy to see Robbie succeed just the same that I would, and that he would me too. So I don't think you're going to be seeing any dump and runs between me and 34, but like, we have those competitions and they exist between us.
For sure there. Well, nevertheless, though, Janzik, best of luck to you and the team and the crew as you get ready to fire them off down here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Thanks, bud. And also, a happy birthday to Robbie Lawrence as well. I remembered. I did wish him one earlier, but, a happy birthday over the airwaves deserves to be announced.
We'll make sure the mullet man gets his due here in a minute.
Hell yeah. Thanks, man.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen, Craig Janzik here on the line, and I guess that really just kind of brings us to our next driver, the guy that's pulling out now. We just talked to this teammate. Well, I was to talk with the other guy, and it's the big 34. Happy birthday, bud. It's Robert Lawrence.
Heyo, how's it going?
Going pretty good. Well, we were kind of got reminded too. Yeah, it is your birthday today, and what a track to have to go at it on your own birthday with.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really sure I'm overly excited for this race, just due to the fact that these cars seem to be an utter handful here. But I do appreciate the birthday wishes. Hopefully it goes well. We'll see.
I was gonna say, you and Jantic have both said these cars are a bit of a handful. Jantic spoke about the right rear kind of getting kicking out underneath him, having a hard time gripping with it. For you in this case, where really does seem the trouble be lying in for the track?
All of it. And currently Eli's trying to turn me, so. But no, all of it seems to be a handful. It doesn't seem like it likes to have any kind of security. You have to basically have to drive it like it's drive about 70% of it, because if you try to drive the last 30, you're gonna go around.
For sure there. Well, nevertheless though, Robert, definitely got a lot on the plate and on your mind, but seem to be styled in and ready for your first playoff fixture race.
Yep, I will do my best.
All right, best of luck out there.
Thank you.
Robert Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen, the big 34 on the line there. We'll see how he fares and how he shares, but also the guy a lot of people may have not thought that would make it to that final four in the final top 10. He's in it. He's in the playoffs picture, ladies and gentlemen. George Young in the 48.
What's happening, my man?
Not much, bud. As we were just talking a little bit with some of the playoff drivers, kind of wanted to bring you in too. I mean, you are one of the guys that is definitely defined as an underdog and still searching for that first win. I mean, what's Bristol feeling to you today?
It feels pretty good. I think we do pretty well here, and just keep doing what I'm doing, sticking around. Sticking around, you never know what's going to happen, especially here.
For sure there. Now it's the 10th seed, of course, too. This could be a bit of a hard charge, a bit of a hard race to kind of push yourself through. I mean, how much do you think really kind of lays in wait for you when it comes to trying to take down the best drivers here?
Oh, man, it's tough. It's really tough, you know that. So I just have to hope they make a few mistakes here and there, because they're definitely going to have the speed. So that's all we can do is, stay in it and hope for the best.
For sure there. Well, nevertheless, George, best of luck to you, and congrats on making it to the playoff picture, sir.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, George Young on the line there. Getting ready to go out of here as the little old man beast returns with us as well. It is William Mann Jr. back on the line.
How's it going, guys?
Going pretty good, although you kind of jumped out of your car right as we were just ready to talk with you here. I mean, did you just get kind of nervous, or did you want to have an outside interview with us?
I went to go get a chicken sandwich for the race started. I get hungry in that car, so.
Was it a Chick-fil-A sandwich, or is this a Mary Brown sandwich?
Well, it's a Saturday night. I'm thinking kind of like how I was at the track, so I think it's the Lord's chicken, because they close down on Sunday. So trying to see what we can do with some fast chicken. This thing.
Well, fast chicken and some fast flames on that thing. You definitely look like you got a bit of a burned up scheme on that. What's kind of the goal here with this scheme, and what are you thinking really for this track today?
Well, I've always liked Bristol. The past couple weeks I've had some good success here, lots of fun. I've won a truck race and next gen fixed league race, and Saturday night we were at the race getting loud and rowdy. I think Sunday we did the last generation car in another series here, and I got second. So just figured we're a little bit running hot right now. We'll try to keep the theme going.
Definitely indeed. Well, nevertheless, though, man, Junior, it's great to hear from you again. Great to have you back online. Good luck today in your race.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate you guys.
3Y Motorsports, ladies and gentlemen, William and Junior on the line. All right, we'll take it down now and talk with the guy that usually serves me up a few lemonade stands and a few lemonade drinks. It is the Big 69, Stephen Bless. Bless, you got a copy down there?
Yeah, we got a copy down here.
Oh, there he is.
Unfortunately, I'm here to hang out. I will not be partaking in this race. Sorry to let this stand down.
Well, I was about to say, like, we haven't seen you on the track, and we're kind of missing you. Like, what's going on down there?
Yeah, unfortunately, the lemonade stand will not be putting forth an effort at Bristol tonight due to lack of preparation and how terrible I am at Bristol.
Well, it is sad to see you, unfortunately, not be able to come out and be able to get the car out on the track and be able to race with you. I know it was a bit of a disappointment for you and the team, but plus, I mean, I got to ask you, bud, I mean, when you've seen some of these drivers, you've seen a lot of these guys really put up the fight here at Bristol. Who do you think probably is going to be the guy to really have to watch out for and really in this playoffs picture, you think?
I mean, obviously, you've got your obvious picks in the playoffs, but I think a guy to watch tonight at Bristol is going to be Robbie Lawrence. He's kind of a Bristol savant. He's fast there.
He's fast here, but can he make it last? That'll be the question. We'll have to see if he can answer for us. But nevertheless, plus, thanks so much for your time, and hopefully we can catch you next time out, buddy.
Hey, who rips the top and hits the wall first, Robbie Lawrence or Tyler Reddick?
I'm gonna go with Tyler Reddick first.
Hey, we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks, man. I'll be excited to be back.
Sounds good. Thank you for your time, Plus. Steve Plus, ladies and gentlemen, the number 69 driver, take a little time to chat with us here. Now on to the call here, though, piloting in the big number 35, reigning Truck Series champion, the number 35, Tyler Meeks, in the Mobile One Ford Mustang.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, my friend. Well, how are you today?
Not too bad. Today was a pretty good day, actually. We're here in Bristol, Tennessee. I like racing around here, but you know, my luck tends to run out about halfway through.
Well, I mean, hopefully it's not going to run out too much today. I mean, you are the 6th seed going into this race here, and I know there's a lot of eyes on you after your championship winning the Truck Series. Now you got to try to figure out how to get it dialed in the Cup Series. I mean, how big of a deal do you think that's going to be?
Yeah, well, when I was racing for the championship with the trucks, I was in the same spot I'm in now. I was kind of the last guy on points. I think I'm like 10th, 11th or 10th in the points right now for the championship. But every week I showed up, stayed consistent. I didn't win anything until the final race at Vegas, so I just stayed consistent and I let everybody else kind of have their issues, and I kind of just prevailed at the end and was champ. I'm hoping I can do that again this year.
Well, you certainly do have the right keen instincts and the key pressure points to get it dialed in. So, Meeks, we'll see what happens here, my friend. Best of luck out here.
All right, thank you.
The Mobile One Ford Mustang, ladies and gentlemen, number 35. That was Tyler Meeks. Well, there's only really a couple more drivers we have left to talk with, and one of them just so happens to be the 4th seed that goes into the championship playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, in the 9 Mad Racing Machine, it is Eli Childs. Eli, do you have a copy, sir? Well, hold on, folks. I think we might have lost track in sight of him here. Yeah, I think we may have. I think he has left the car and left the track for the moment, so we'll leave him be. We'll come back to him a little later. But nevertheless, here we still got a couple more drivers to talk with. In the 76 here, he now joins me on the call here, or at least I hope anyway. Caleb Forrest, you got a line?
I got you, buddy.
Okay, well, we got you at least here. How you do today, bud?
Oh, I'm a dude. How about you?
Doing all right myself. Can't complain too much, and I don't think you complain too much either, man. You got a nice, solid run in the championship now as the AC going into this race today in that fire department coffee. I mean, how big of a deal do you think is that kind of you to even make it to this point and get to that position in the first place?
Pretty big deal. We got fortunate this season, was able to make more races than normal. Put ourselves in a decent spot to be able to run here in the playoffs. We are behind the 8 ball, coming in 8th, but it's very doable. I just got to be consistent here throughout the playoffs.
Now with this dual pit road as well here, I mean, how much of a trouble can that be when you guys are having to come through on green flag pit stops, or maybe even when you're having to go through caution pit stops at the time of spot just right? You think?
Hitting on this track is always an issue. It doesn't matter single, double pit road. Making sure that you're hitting the right pit lane, which shouldn't be a problem tonight, but getting that timing set up, it's always a big deal.
For sure there. Well, nevertheless, Foresight, there's a lot at stake, and definitely I know a lot on your mind, but you seem dialed in and ready, so let's see if you can hang on with the guys today. Good luck out here tonight.
Thanks, sir.
Caleb Foresight, ladies and gentlemen, the 76, ready to kick it up a notch or two and get out on the track and fire them off. Now joining us here in the number 15 for Performance Motorsports Camp, it is Jason Taylor. You got a copy down there, Jason? Well, I guess him and Eli both have miscommunications or videos on their end.
Hello.
Oh, wait a minute. We have a copy.
I hear you. You hear me?
I hear you, sir. I think
Oh,
you
there
hear
you
us. There. All right. Well, Jason, good to hear from you again, bud, and great to see you back on out, man.
Yeah. Looking forward to a beautiful night here at Bristol. See what we can do here.
For sure there, and do as you please and do as you want. I mean, Bristol Motor Speedway is definitely no joke when it comes to being one of the toughest tracks to race and win on. But for you and your team, I mean, what's really the biggest difficulty that you guys think you face on constantly?
Biggest thing here, I mean, just tonight, finally got the setup a little bit better where it's just more comfortable in the long run. The setup that I had got was it was good for the first 2 laps, but then it started getting really free. But tonight's about just staying out of trouble, doing good in the points. You know, we're in the playoffs, and that was our goal. And with this race in Talladega coming up, it's like 2 wild cars back to back. So hopefully I can dodge trouble tonight and have a good finish. I've had quite a few wins at Bristol on iRacing, so I don't know, maybe we can pull something off.
You know, being the 7th seed, I know it could be a bit daunting for some, and as you said there, you're trying to kind of just stay out of trouble, but if it all kind of boiled down to one big move or one big run, do you think that this 15 machine can probably pull it off?
Craig's going to be hard to beat. He seems to be on a rail. But yeah, I think I can run with him. You know, this place luck has a lot to do with it too. So we'll see what happens. I'm pretty pumped up, ready to go. I enjoy racing here, so hopefully it's a good night.
Well, we're pumped up to see what you can bring to the table, Jason. Congrats, good luck, and congratulations on making the playoffs.
All right, thanks, man.
Upfield instead of drivers and a who's who of drivers ready to get to it. It's about that time at last here, race fans, as we hopefully can now get Eli the Wild Childs on our mic here.
Hello.
Oh, there he goes. He finally got us.
Yeah, I had stepped away. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're alright. So, nevertheless, though, Childs, entering into this race today, you are the number 4 seed, and a bit of kind of a surprise, though, for us, seeing you so high up on that list and kind of at the same time so low where we usually would think you. With this season, how much of a workaround has it been just to try to get to this point?
It's pretty crazy. New car. We kind of started the season off strong, and then I don't know, we just kind of fell off towards the end of the season. So I don't really know what happened. I think I kind of had a good feeling we'd be locked in through points. So I think I just wasn't exactly trying as hard. So, but now we're in the playoffs, so all focus is, this round's pretty crazy. Starting here at Bristol, then next week we go to Dega, and then Homestead. So we'll have full focus on it, and hopefully we can make the Final Four again this year.
Yeah, with a lot of eyeballs on you guys in this team, I mean, how difficult is it going to be to try to actually win here on this Bristol track?
Oh, I think it's gonna be interesting. Honestly, we got a pretty small field tonight, so could have some green flag pit stops, which not sure I've ever made at Bristol, so that could be very interesting. Yeah, I think it's just going to be a battle of attrition. I think cars are a little different than what we're used to running here. Get pretty loose. Kind of seems like it's single line. We might be able to go up to the high side, but I don't think we'll run up there very long with
tire wear and everything, it'll just chew them up. So I definitely think it's going to be interesting.
For sure there. All right, well, Childs, we'll let you get to qualifying and get all set to go. Best of luck out there.
Appreciate it, man.
Eli Childs, ladies and gentlemen, in the number 9, looking to try to bring home for the number 14 here, 4 seeds, I should say. The 4 seed team will have their work cut out for him, as Kyle Holden has his work cut out for him in qualifying. But yeah, funny thing is, even with that spin, Seth's second fastest time, 14.56. Transic laying down a 5.2 for his fastest lap so far. Layman Jr. managing to nail down a 5th fastest of the bunch. As now the wild child, Eli Childs, will put his track lap on. Big crowd on hand here, ready to get a few more situated out and ready to come out here as well in a little bit. We'll see them all kind of piloting up and coming through the field in just a little while. But as you can see, times strongly in the 14-second mark. Very tough ordeal and very tight to consider everything and what they're going to have to put up. And you heard earlier too, the tire wear on the outside, just burning them up on that ledge. It's going to be very, very difficult. And it's going to be a challenge in itself just to try to hold on to it. But the best usually can come out fighting with the rest. So we'll see. As we continue on with our laps here, Stephen Plus will not be qualifying and not racing. Tyler Meeks won't begin that lap to count either, slamming into the wall protection and slamming the car into the ground clearance. That lap will not count. So a penalty on the number 35 team, unfortunately, sets him back a little bit and sets him back into the field. This is going to be a very tough little struggle now for him to have to get around, as Meeks, unfortunately, costing himself dearly there. Craig Jantic right now just staying out on the track, getting a feel for the bottom lane. And you know, the funny thing is, you know, we've always talked about how we always wanted old Bristol back, how we always wanted that bottom lane to come back. Well, iRacing standards wise, we did get it, but the top side is where the fastest laps are going to be. So you really kind of have a double-edged sword here. Do you choose to run the bottom, stay there and risking a bump and run, or do you try to evasive action and kind of escape through the field, just run where you need to, which is generally speaking going to be kind of more towards the middle end or the top side. It's going to be a bit of a headache here for these guys, and I can tell you right now, many of them are focusing on the overall perspective and seeing how they can hit up with this. Field right now is currently under the limelight, under the pressure here. They are getting set to go for a who's who of battles and hard driving we're about to see. "20 seconds left on the clock too. This will definitely be interesting to see just how the field can match and stir up here. Tyler Meese will be in the 10th slot. Craig Janzik, Kyle Holden, Caleb Forsythe, Eli Childs, James Harris, your top 5 out from that performance there. And speaking of Harris here, we'll take a listen in with the Big 55 real quick before he enters into the race. Jared Harris, you got a copy down there?
Yeah, 10-4, buddy.
All right, James, as we get ready to enter onto the race and get set up for the action ahead, I mean, it is Bristol after all. Are you a little nervous or kind of getting the feel for this track yet?
Yes and no. I mean, I didn't do much practice as usual because life is just too crazy lately, but we did about 25, 30 laps. I think we'll be at least halfway decent tonight.
Any pressure you feel as well, even going in with the playoffs, considering you're 8th, I believe I read like 9th in this position for the point standing this time?
Nah, man, it's all good. We're just here to have some fun and race hard.
All right, well, Defending champion you are. Going to go for broke, go for big. Best of luck out there.
Man, thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 55, James Harris. Ready to rock and roll out here and maybe have to endure the feel and the endurance that life's been throwing at him. But he's about to put up all of it right now on the show. Here is your starting lineup presented by Champion Power Equipment. In the number 02, it'll be Craig Janzik outside, and the big 5, Kyle Holden. Right number 2 is the 76 of Caleb Forsythe, as outside is the 9 as Eli Childs. Right number 3 is James Harris, and the 55 was outside in the big 29, Mr. Willie Mann Jr. Right number 4 is the number 15 of Jason Taylor is outside. It is the 48. It is going to be George Young. Row 5 is 34, Robert Lawrence, birthday boy in the house. And the outside, the 35, Tyler Meeks. Stephen Pless will not enter this race. And I don't know who I finally talked to in iRacing to get our stream fixed, but I think we might have got it fixed now. Finally looks back up to standard par and code like it's supposed to already. I'm liking this. iRacing, keep it that way, please. Before we enter the race tonight here at Bristol Motor Speedway race fans, this one is presented in part by our friends at Champion Power Equipment. Be sure to get the best power generators that money can buy and offer. The best of the brands, no questions how, it is Champion Power Equipment. Be sure to visit them up at www.championpowerequipment.com to get your power tools and power generators needed for your next outings. Alright, race fans, you wanted it, you got it. Here we go. Back straight away, they'll line them off. The Zanny fam, Craig Janzik, and the Speed Demon, Kyle Holden, is going to be bringing them all to the lane and bring them all to the game. This is Bristol, baby. Night lights on, green flag up, and bringing down. It's time to go racing at the famed Last Great Coliseum. Mounting charge out of the gate. Everybody sticking it to the bottom or going towards the middle ground. Out of the line, it will be Janzik who has the early lead. Harris coming back from the White Castle 55 Ford Mustang, riding it up with the 29 of William Mann Jr. James Harris in the 15 right now, looking to try to corner off and start moving the field in and bring him through. See the field behind him kind of stretching out just a little bit, kind of getting pushed out a little, maybe into the corners and through the field. If we can see a little bit of that time and time again here from drivers just trying to make a run for it on the early goings, but those that are the strong or in the smartest of the crews will know not to overturn and overdo their corners. Stay focused on their driving and stay smooth into the track. Does Craig Janzik in the 02 right now still your race leader here in that Seal Master number 02? He's trying to put up a number here and trying to put everybody on notice. But with only 10 drivers out on the track too, that was something that we did kind of get mentioned from Eli Childs about, was that these guys are probably going to have to do green flag pit stops. And that's not something I think they're used to. A lot of them have been accustomed to about the 20 or 30 car lineups here, and there's always kind of a caution that kind of intertwines itself or kind of puts up on these drivers. This is the first time they're going to be challenged, in my opinion, at actually making everything figure out. Brad Thacker saying Plutt's going to crash. Thacker, he's not even in the race today, buddy. So he kind of already crashed out on the service. Back on board here with the William Mann Jr. in the 29 Chevrolet Camaro. He's right now working the bottom lane in the middle groove a little bit, starting to migrate up though. Just like real life, this is something you'll notice too. A lot of drivers start towards the bottom, then they'll migrate towards the middle and then the outside line. Brad Thacker gonna say never mind about our little joke about old plus here. Sorry Thacker, but didn't mean to burst your bubble, but being real with you, man. The 9 of Eli Childs here. Again, you heard him say earlier, felt like he was strong in the beginning, but he knew that now he's gonna have to start turning on the big guns, start turning on those big drives. If anything, if I was him right now, I think I'd be doing the Jimmy Johnson strategy that got him 7 championships. Remember, literally right as the playoffs had begun and they started to chase for the Cup Series, that was when Johnson kind of got smart and kind of figured out how to actually work the system and actually outclass and outrace the fields when it came to that style of racing. And that's exactly what we're getting right now out of the main guys and the big dogs here. Some of them have used up a lot of their power, used up a lot of their equipment, and they've been doing their darndest to try to make it into every single race, every single winner's circle they can get. But this is going to be a big test and tail for them. Do they now start to figure out how to really ramp up and start to get much better and clever racing out on a track like this? Because at this point, you have nothing left to lose. Now you have everything to gain. And if I'm the top 10 right now, I'd be focusing critically on making every lap count and making every spot really matter in this series. That'd be priority number 1 in my opinion. Jantic about a second and a half almost ahead of Kyle Holden in number 5. Jantic continues to race the leaders out. James Harris, number 55, White Castle Chevrolet Camaro, starting to make, the Ford Mustang, trying to make a move off from that Chevrolet Camaro of Willie Mann Jr. Got a little confused there. I guess I kind of saw the front of that car and I thought it was a Chevrolet for a minute. Harris and Childs, where have I seen this before? Many times these two have gone to war with one another back and forth. Again, they are going to do it once and more. Childs will avert and let the 55 by him though. Now only time will tell if it's going to be actually worth taking that risk and taking that move off the way he did. Knows he's got a lot of racing still ahead and still a lot of time to really be gaining after. Needs to stay focused on the overall picture and the overall spot he's putting himself in. Well, the drivers are having a little bit of fun, so let's have a little fun ourselves. It's time to pull the triggers up, turn the loudspeakers on. Ladies and gentlemen, have at it with us. It's been a while, but it's time to crank it up. Feel the power. You can cut it with a knife. You're on the track and on the speedway. Absolutely a wonderful track. that Bristol Motor Speedway is one of my favorite tracks I used to race on when we were on the NASCAR heat days. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it now because honestly it's not my track anymore when it comes to racing out on the big cars and on the other stuff they used to run. I'm not really sure what it is, but to me it just seems like the track constantly evolves just a little too much for my liking and just doesn't really feel the same as it used to. Even the street stocks, like running them here, used to be a lot of fun. Nowadays they're kind of harder to handle, a little bit more difficult to figure out. So imagine what it's like just trying to get these next gen cup cars dialed up and figured out at the same time. Let's say I would not recommend being anybody's friend on this track here. That's all I'll say. And even earlier on, we talked about that with Robert Lawrence and with Craig Danzig being teammates. They have to kind of put up each other and kind of put it up against one another, and being good friends too. That definitely makes it a lot more difficult as a driver to have to call your shots and make your moves. Even though they may be friends on the side of the track, in racing to me, there are no friends. There is no love lost. Once you get into that seat, you either can take the punishment or you have to take, or you're going to be taking a lot of other problems here throughout the series. I mean, we got to look at some of the greats that have come through in the sport. Dale Earnhardt Sr., Bobby Allison, Davey Allison, Alan Kowicki, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson's, Tony Stewart's, and many of the other hard racing guys from the way back when with the Flock brothers, Tim, Bob, and even Jocko Flacco when he was running around with them a little bit. And David Pearson, Richard Petty, the greats always had one thing in common, was they always knew when they had to get aggressive, and they knew when they had to make their marks and make their moves. And that is the biggest thing that you gotta watch out for. Even when you look back at Richard Petty and David Pearson, those two best of friends. But even I could say, like, just from one race where David Pearson the Silver Fox decided to outsmart the old king himself. Way back at Daytona, actually Pearson had gave Petty the run and let him take the lead on the last couple laps. But as soon as Pearson got a chance, he took his draft away and actually just overtook him and passed him on through. So again, if I'm Craig Danzig, my first thought is not try to be a friend. I'm going to focus more on being my driver, being myself. I need to win. And I need to stay winning to get this championship that, in his mind, he feels like he lost out on. So, only time can tell, and only really he can decipher that for us. But, like I said, if I'm Janzik, or I'm Harris, or if I'm Childs, or if I'm William Mann Jr., or if I'm Lawrence, I'm not caring about one. I'm only caring about one thing and one thing only: get this title, like get this win in this championship. Because in their mind, that's what it's all about, and that's, in my opinion, what it should always be about: is being a driver and going out there and performing at your highest level. And it looks like that's what these drivers are up to right now. The Mullet Man himself, Robert Lawrence, is starting to creep back up on the 76 of Caleb Forsythe here. Starting to make a bit of a brink and a bit of a run for it here. He's looking for an opening. And it's going to straight shoot it down on the bottom. Here comes the Mullet Man. Got a nice draw there. Took a good position off and took Caleb Forsythe's speed with him. We talked about how difficult it is to race at Bristol Motor Speedway back in its original incarnation, because that was, like I said, during the Dale Earnhardt, Derry Labonte, Bobby Labonte days and all of them, and even the Rusty Wallaces. That was the days where you actually had only one line. That was that bottom line. And if you did not know how to deal with a bump and run or figure out how to go up against drivers like that in that format, well, you better wish you were somewhere else, because that was pretty much Bristol Motor Speedway, and that was the ultimate challenge it possessed to any driver who dared walk its doors. Nowadays, it seems as though the track does kind of change out and just kind of changes up more as it goes. But the one thing that's never changed is the aggression and the speed you have got to bring to the famed Last Great Coliseum. Well, James Harris letting the 34 Robert Lawrence on by there. Take it to the middle lane to the top side and let the 34 on by. So Lawrence now has moved the chains, and Tyler Meeks here not exactly making the 55 any easier here right now. He's kind of pushing him around a little bit to get around it. Meeks had a little problem, had to go into pit road. Lost a couple laps due to such. So being 2 laps down now, really has to face an ultimate uphill battle in terms of scope and speed, and he knows it too. Take a look at our intervals right now again, and you can see Jantic starting to already move the chains further and further ahead. Over 2.5 seconds now, separating him and the 5 of Kyle Holden. And Holden is no slouch, by the way. He builds his setups and gets his setups dialed up, and he is a fast cat. But the problem I think that he's going to face today, without a doubt, is tempo, pacing, and just all-around willpower and speed the 0-2 will bring to the table. Whether or not, though, that's going to last out and it's going to be able to survive enough, it's hard to say. Because, again, he's got to put up a performance, and he's got to put everything to its fullest potential. George Young now going to be put a lap down as well. Got up ahead of Jantic, now Kyle Holden get up ahead of him as well. It's starting to get a little bit tough out here, and these drivers know it. They cannot be making too many mistakes. Seems as though they are struggling a little bit here. We'll see if that continues to be a problem throughout this race. Tony Westcott saying small field tonight. Yeah, a little bit of a smaller field than usual. Tony, good to have you back on board here, bud. Good to hear from you, sir. Yeah, we mentioned on the top of the hour, on the top of the show, usually these drivers have about 20 to 30 that run in this division and in this series. Kind of a shocker that once we began the playoffs, only really 10 have been able to make the call. Stephen Pless, of course, out right now, unfortunately. He had some problems going into practice. I said point blank he did not want to ruin the playoff driver's race. He knew very well that if anything, it could be detrimental to him and his crew and his friends and family in this track, and he knows it. So respect to him, but you know, unfortunately, it's not going to do him much favors when it comes to looking at the overall picture, which is trying to get that win. Fast times right now set by the guys here, and your fastest time was a 14.81. Set by the 55 of James Harris. The irony is he just got passed up as well from lap traffic. Jantic has put him a lap down as it is now. And the fact is that Jantic has laid down a 14.82 as his fast slide, so whatever Jantic is doing under that car right now and under that hood, man, he is working a wheel and he's working a whole lot of car there, I will tell you that. Tony Westcott, yeah, great, no problem there. But yeah, if it kind of wasn't obvious, man, I'm home. I would not have my little system and all my stuff all playing out like it is right now if it wasn't for the fact that I'm home. So I'm glad to be home and I'm glad to be back. But it was a wild ride, to say the least, to get home. Packed crowd in the stands right now watching on as we continue to diverge and dilute the track and make it further and further. As for laying down some rubber right now, that seems to be a bit of a problem here a little bit. Just like in real life, we've always talked about how difficult it is to get a second groove going or something with these next gen cars. And it seems as though it pulls more towards the tire and it pulls more towards the overall setup and feel of these things. I can't really explain it for sure, but the way it sounds to me, it just sounds like no matter what Goodyear does, they end up either with flats or they have tires going down way too quickly, and that's in turn causing them to struggle to figure out what kind of tire they're going to be able to use to actually even get a second lane, second groove kind of made up on these tracks and on these surfaces. And that's going to be big and crucial by next year, if not by year's end for this season as it is. Mechanical failures wise, seemingly no troubles there. No one's had any issues on that front. Then just a matter of just staying focused and staying towards the pack and toward the driving area. As pit stops are now being made here, so we're already up on laps 75, 74s. I mean, it's gonna be a very difficult day for anybody that wants to go into pit road at a certain time. I think Jantic's strategy is only do 2 pit stops, which at this point he could very well do. I think he saved up enough fuel and he had such a good run out of the gate. I don't think he's have to worry about it. James Harris right now, well, he's 3 laps down and he's not holding back now. 3 laps down, but no trouble there. He'll be go 2 laps now for sure, as he looks to get ahead of Jantic and get ahead of this field again. Got holding though. Uh-oh. Slamming that wall protection, getting up towards the top side. That's going to be a bit of a problem there for him. Holden's got to be a bit careful down there. He knows he can't make mistakes like that. That was a bit of a mistake. We're seeing it often too much here. If you make critical mistakes like that, you're going to find yourself in more trouble than it's worth. I think he knows it and he's watching it right now very carefully. George Young, though, I mean, I'm not going to be lying to you guys. How about this? Top 5 right now. He started back in 8th, and he's putting it to some of these guys, staying pretty conservative. Managed to keep himself ahead of Tyler Meeks, James Harris, Caleb Forsythe, Jason Taylor, and William Mann Jr. Now, granted, everybody has gone into pit road that we just named off here, each varying on their laps and on their set here. But I mean, right now, the way Young is looking, I think honestly he could be a bit of a contender here in this playoffs division. I think maybe he might have a chance. To me, I think the race that's going to truly determine that, though, is without a doubt Talladega next week. Or next time we see these guys. Because Talladega, in my opinion, is going to be the only track you're going to see the likes of Young, Harris, Mann Jr., Eli Childs, Caleb Forsythe, Jason Taylor, and Tyler Meeks have a best chance at finally getting a win knocked off of their belt this season. I'm not taking anything away from Holden or Lawrence, but in my opinion, those 2 guys can pull off a win when they need to and really pull off a run when they have to. So I don't discredit them there, and I don't think they won't be able to figure it out eventually. But for those other drivers I mentioned, that track is going to be about as equal of a playing field as it gets in terms of raw scope and raw power. So then it just really boils down to strategy and how you take it up. Matthew Karakoff saying nothing on TV, so this works for me. Love Bristol. You just never know till the last lap of Bristol. Matthew, thanks so much for tuning in. And can't really describe what happens until it really gets to that point. We don't even know for sure because, like I said, we talked about Young making a bit of a kind of a heroic comeback here. He's already made a good drive off. He's hanging in there with these guys as he's now dealing with the battle for the 35 of Tyler Meeks. And Janzik has gone into pit road as well now. That was on lap 88, so that is pretty much right where he needs to be in terms of scope and pit road. He's set himself up well, but Kyle Holden and Robert Lawrence and Eli Childs take the lead from him here. So it already looks to me, and it looks like Kyle Holden's going to have his hands full here because Robert Lawrence is already kind of pushing his buttons a little bit. It looks to me like the strategy is going to be to try to drive as long and as far as possible and then go into pit road so you have fresher tires. And honestly, I don't mind the strategy. It definitely can play host to try to knock down Janzik, but I don't know. It's a very tall order considering you still have to go into pit road. And Robert Lawrence actually just cost himself dearly on that one, went on board with him, and he has missed pit road. So his battle with Holden there, unfortunately, is all for naught. Missed pit road, and he's now got to go back around just to get to it. He's finally in it. That is a huge blunder. He cannot afford mistakes like that, and Holden knows he can't afford any mistakes either. He's got to get to pit road on a certain timely basis. And he's currently dealing with that 55 of James Harris, the Marauder, below him. Martin Sports, number 5 Toyota Camry right now, keeping his pace, keeping his distance, and sticking to it, everybody. Will he be able to last out full race, though? That remains unknown. Race fans, when we come back, the action is creeping up. It's getting hotter around here. It's Bristol, baby. We'll see you guys in just a minute. Be right back after this quick commercial message. Today's race here is presented in part by our friends at Champion Power Equipment. When you guys need the best power generators on the market and equipment that is right for you, there's only one brand stands above all else, and that is Champion Power Equipment. Be sure to check them out at www.championpowerequipment.com to get yourself the best power generators you need and equipment for your day-to-day job. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here currently as we go back to the field. Kyle Holden passed by Craig Danzik here, who is 2 laps down, looking to try to close that gap off ASAP. He's struggling a little bit, though, unfortunately, because he had to make his way through traffic. Now he's got to put himself in a very unique position he hasn't been put into yet, which is how the heck do you get around all the drivers and every single person that is under your scope and under your radar? That is going to be a handful in of itself. A task by itself, a handful on its own. Not a whole lot you can do with it, and he knows it too. And the scope of things just continues to die through and really gets to be more of a troublesome part. Let's take a look at the onboard camera here with James Harris, because I want to talk about this for a second. I always talk about this plenty of times in these broadcasts before about this next gen car, and my overall thoughts will never change until they start fixing, until they get things a little bit more dialed up. But this snap lock steering and the way that this car kind of shifts itself into the turns and kind of goes through the track, to me, this is probably the worst possible track for its steering and its mechanisms to be broken down and really in problematic territory, because the way the bankings are so high and diverse and really give yourself more room for error and more trouble. If you steer in way too hard or way too sharp, that steering valve and the functions of it really just kind of breaks and tears itself off from the get-go, making it that much more difficult to have to work around and deal with on a basis. And then turn, it's one thing we always talk about. You gotta watch yourself later into the run, because you just never know when it may go out or when you may end up finding yourself with more problems than it's worth. But so far, really not a whole lot of mechanical issues or any troublesome slates or situations have been brought forth or put forth out on this track. It's been mainly just drive and go and figure out the rest. There was 70 laps remaining here. Kyle Holden definitely in the driver's seat. But I can tell you right now, he is not going to go the full distance on his fuel run. Not even close. He can try and say he will. I guarantee you that will not be the case. There is just no way he's going to be able to perfect that run and perfect those laps with how far off he is and how far off he's still got to go. And Jantic as well is caving him and closing him off, so whatever Holden's strategy is, he's going to need to make it clean. He's going to have to make a clear cut ideal of it because he's going to be in a very tough spot, I bet. Eli Childs right now working his way up there. Robert Lawrence and up to Jason Taylor here. We've got a 3-car battle now for the 6th slot. Lawrence getting by. Now Childs will get by. 15 there of Jason Taylor. Teammates hit with Eli Childs as well. So I got to feel that probably is a little bit of a helping hand to him and maybe a way to get around it. Tony Westcott saying caution free tonight, or was it rough going at the start? Came in late tonight. So far, caution free here, Tony. Green flag pit stops are brewing, and a lot of drivers just kind of keep on cruising. But no matter what we can say, everybody has had a storyline and has been put into a spot, especially with this playoffs intervening as well. The birthday boy himself, the 34 Elite Performance Industries Chevrolet Camaro of Robert Lawrence here, trying to get himself the best birthday wish he can and pull this one into the top half into a podium position. But Childs falling behind him right now, dealing with company. Pit stop here for Kyle Holden, taking all 4 tires and fuel for what we're being told. He's going to go in and get his rights, and then he's going to get the left sides down. But he's unfortunately going to lose that race lead to the 0-2. The Standing Fam, Craig Jantic, has returned to his top spot now with lap traffic and brewing and everywhere around him. He's currently lurking his way to get to that 55 of Harris and put him a lap down. Goes right off through the field, and he laps every single driver. He's got Harris now lapped down. And Tyler Meeks desperately trying to hang in this one. The 35 currently in the 2nd spot. And remember the last time he went into pit road, well, that wasn't anywhere near where everyone else is thinking. He's not been in pit road yet, so now he'll have to finally cave in and give it up. Caleb Forsythe now starting to stretch himself out, but he got into pit road on lap 73, so he's in a better upper spot than he was earlier on. But is that going to be able to last? Question remains. Man, oh man, what an absolute flip around and a turnaround on this track today, folks. Everybody getting their stuff in and making it look really good, while at the same time trying to hammer down and hang in there. Onboard camera here right now with Caleb Forsythe here as we listen into his throttle rhythm. Throttle rhythm seems a bit off just by a narrow margin, maybe a little bit too low on the RPMs there. Could use a little higher on it. But you can see the way he's steering in as well. That's not helping his cause much, so that could be a big factor into why he is not getting as much of a run or much of a drive off as he would like to. Tyler Meeks coming off pit road right now, put himself quite a few laps down compared to the other drivers here, so that's going to be even more difficult to have to work around. And if you're wondering right now, yeah, this is pretty much what it looks like here. Unless your name is a 0-2 and Craig Danzig, you're a lap down or you're multiple laps down. Layman Jr. as well in the 29. It looks like mechanical problems on the 29 camp, so unlike the Bristol race we saw a little while ago on NASCAR Saturday night, it is currently the Well, currently right now, the way we're looking at it, there is a legitimate problem with the Chevrolets versus the Toyotas and the Fords. Man Jr. was out. Harris right now, he's actually out too, so it looks like the Fords have some problems too. And the Toyotas seem to be doing just fine. You know, there's only two of them out there, Jantic and Kyle Holden. Tyler finally getting himself around traffic and starting to make some moves here. We're going to start to put the progression and the speeds up to par and up to the drive. And the motor and the power and all that just completely on point, on edge, and everybody looking to stick with this field and stick with this drive. Race fans, when we come back here, we're going to see if maybe Jantic can go Greenway all to the end and pull this one into victory lane. Stay tuned. Today's race here at the famed Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee is presented in part by our friends at Champion Power Equipment. You guys need the best power generators on the market. Well, there really only is one branded name that you can rely and trust in, and that is Champion Power Equipment. Be sure to visit them up on their website at championpowerequipment.com to get yourself the latest and the greatest when it comes to power generators and power tools. Thanks again, Champion Power Equipment. A little bit of a cave off here. Tyler Meeks here moving ahead of Jantic. Jantic not going to be worrying too much about him. Field stretching further and further back onto the track here. Kyle Holden, after his pit stop issues and his woes, currently trying to hang in there and keep up with the speed and pace. In my opinion, though, probably the biggest mistake we had witnessed was Robert Lawrence in that 34 camp when he was battling up for Kyle Holden trying to get to pit road. Made a mental error and a little bit of a situation kind of embroiled where he actually mistakenly had not gotten in the right pit stop and actually missed his pit stop area for pit road. And since then, it's been an absolute struggle to get closer and closer in that regard. Yet still no quits, still no give, and everybody very well aware of that, trying to stick with it. Caution-free race, something we haven't seen in a while from these guys. Again, there's been so many drivers that come onto the track, come into the races, and now to see it kind of just get flipped around and see only about 10 of them make it to the track, make it to the race. It kind of is a weird feeling, to say the least. Not something we're used to really getting out of it. We know these drivers, though, at their best, at their most performable, can make and break a race without a doubt by simply just going out there and racing their style and their way. Scoping out the field and scoping through the track. Everyone's still right in the lineup and still right where they need to be. No quit and no give, and that is exactly what they have to do. But again, the challenge still lies ahead for the rest of the field on how they're going to be able to really make do and make compromise with what they're put up against. Craig James, you can see literally having to fight off with traffic there, living at their Caleb Forsythe, kind of being a bit of a nuisance to him, as he kind of had to figure out whether or not he was going to have to go for a bit of a ride, or if he was going to have to kind of take these guys for a drive. You can see just how far everyone has placed himself out on the track and how far they really keep the momentum and the pace going. 26 laps remain at Bristol. Kyle Holden, 7th spot right now. Highest was first, but had stayed in second for most of the race. His pit stop, though, not quite indulging or really making as much of a move as he was hoping for. Although, honestly, he could be saving his speed and maybe ready to turn up the power in a bit. I honestly cannot tell you, because it's really just way too hard to really give you a full understanding of their mindsets and what they're up to. Until they have completed this race and that checker flag has flown, absolutely nothing is off the table. Last laps remaining here. Field just trying to get to this guy, the 0-2, somehow, some way, with 17 laps remaining. You see the field starting to pick up pace, starting to pick up the drive just a little bit, trying to hang in there. Giles right now about 8 seconds behind of Robert Lawrence, looking to try to clamber up to him and catch him if he can. Knows there's not a whole lot of time left. Trying to find any opposition or any kind of momentum he can. Caleb Forsythe, George Young, former teammates there from the NPR crew. Still the NPR crew in their minds, though. Going at it a little bit. For Far side, however, was able to make his mark and make a move. Further along the lines, further along the track, everybody making and breaking for what it is worth. Now a three-car battle through the field right now. Lawrence already a lap down, trying to get on that lead lap. If any chance, any hope, any prayer he has, he needs it. Jason Taylor kind of mixing and matching up just a little bit, kind of crisscrossing them off just a bit more too, making it that much more difficult to make a drive through and a position in. I think honestly Lawrence might be starting to see the writing on the wall here. He might have to chalk this one off to a loss with 9 laps to go. Being a lap down and only getting about 670 horsepower package on these cars. And got burnt tires as well. Yeah, I'm not going to try to hold my breath on that one. They're going to need a caution or something. Tyler Meeks, the 35 Mobile 1 Ford Mustang, keeping up pace, keeping up the drive. Kyle Holden right there with him as well. 7 will turn to 6 laps to go in just a minute. As Kyle Holden is putting pressure on 35. Oh, he's putting more than just pressure. He's giving him a bumper here. The first bump and run we've seen all day. This is your battle for 4th. Holden and Meeks firing it back at each other. This could be a bad spot here. Meeks damage on the right front though. He's having troubles. Can't quite get it back to Holden. Holden will escape. And that's probably a little bit of a sigh of relief. Spotter telling Janzik, don't worry about it now. They've all cleaned it up over there. You know, as well as anything, they knew they could be putting themselves in a very, very bad spot. They're not careful. Avoided the trouble and avoided the contact for possibly getting even more than just a bump and run. But thankfully, it's not much more left to do with that. 3 laps to go. Janzik just wailing, and I mean wailing, this entire field, this entire drive off. Nobody has been able to even get close to him in terms of raw power and speed for a good chunk of the season, except for a few like Boyd Hagen and even the likes of Kyle Anderson in them. But in this case, right now, this one could be Janzik's to lose. White flag out. And I'm not talking the Bristol race itself. I'm talking the final legs this season. Off of turn 3, down into turn number 4. The Zanny Man is back in business. Janzik wins at Bristol. Your race winner at Bristol after even getting a little love and a tap and a half there from some of the other drivers. Janzik in the 0-2 will scratch, claw, and perfume and perfect his way to victory lane once again. Although I don't think he's going to be able to do any burnouts this time. I think he might have gotten the entire wheel locked up. Yeah, Kyle Holden's trying, though, to help him. He's trying. But never mind. I guess Jantic wanted to blow the motor up. Well, give him credit where credit's due. At least he had some fun doing it. Well, nevertheless, though, race fans, let's take a look at the final results now on your screen. From it all, Janzik just simply would not give anything to anybody. He just did not care. It will win it out with this one. Second will go to Robert Lawrence. Third will be to Eli Childs. Fifth will go to Kyle Holden. 35th, or fifth, excuse me, for the 35 of Tyler Meeks. Sixth goes to Caleb Forsythe. 7th to Jason Taylor. 8th to George Young. James Harris goes 9th. 10th to William Mann Jr., rounding out your field. Well, only one thing left to do, and that's to chat for top 3. Here he is now joining me in the 3rd place spot today in the Mad Racing Machine. It is Eli Childs.
Hey, how's it going?
Going pretty good. Well, Childs, what a wild, wild day, to say the least, for you and your crew. You go through a little bit of a troublesome spot, being put kind of in the back. Then you make your way through the field again. And then, all said and done, a 3rd place finish trying to catch up to Lawrence. I mean, I got to believe it's at least going to be a good day for you to kind of know you got some big points here moving on in the stages in the race season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we, our elite performance, Ford Mustang, with Matt on board. We were fast, definitely on the short run. We, kind of struggled long run, but if we'd have had a caution, I think towards the end, I think we could have definitely had something for him, but luckily we kind of went green the whole way, so we just weren't able to do anything with those guys up front.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wild ride up there, and I know you had a lot going on in the char as well, but I mean, at the end of the day, is there anything you feel like maybe you could have done to try to catch up with these guys, really put up a fight to them at the end?
Probably save tires. A little bit better. I think we were running a little hard in the beginning. I ran a lot of truck races last week, and the truck drive's totally different than the cup car, so I found myself driving it more like a truck instead of a cup car, and I think that cost me a little bit of tire wear.
Well, may have cost a little tire wear, but didn't cost you too much in the podium position at least. So, Childs, congratulations on that 3rd place finish, and we'll catch you next time out here, sir.
Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eli, the Wild Childs, brings it home for a nice, solid 3rd place finish. Birthday boy, though, joins the top spots in the 2nd place. It is Mullet Man himself, Robert Lawrence, coming away 2nd out of the bunch. Robert, I know this is not the birthday present you were exactly looking for, but, I mean, hey, it was the best we could really give you. I mean, he's come away 2nd, and you put up a great performance, but your teammate kind of just outran the entire field.
Yeah, it was definitely a one-man show. My only saving grace was knew how to save tire, and that was it. I saved tire, passed everyone at the end of the first run before pit stops. Missed pit road entry when I went to try to go, and did another lap. Went and serviced and came back out and passed everyone again, and it was just, yeah, like I said, save the tire, you'll reap the rewards later, and I did until I decided to slam the right front into the wall, and then yeah.
Well, we're gonna ask you about that too. Like, not just the right front, but pit stop wise, like you were fighting it up there, holding for a minute, and it looked like that pit stop actually may in turn have cost you a chance to really try and take down Jantic. Do you think that was kind of the sole reason that kind of cooked you away from victory lane? You think?
No, Craig was just all around faster, but maybe if this race was another 50 laps more, I might have a chance, because he was burning the right front off of it pretty bad versus where I was rarely even. I was up on at the end of there. I was about 20% more on the right front than he was, so there's a good chance I could have caught him, but we won't find out, and I'm good not trying to find out.
Well, Well, fair enough for that. But nevertheless, Talladega up next on the lineup. We'll see how you do there. But nevertheless, who do you want to thank for the second place finish?
I gotta thank Champion for being the main sponsor. I gotta thank EPI for all the setups and all the coaching over there. If you need setups or coaching, head right over there. They're great guys. And I gotta thank Eli and everyone else for being a part of it, and thank the team. And sorry that the team couldn't get Pless's car put together. Evidently, they just were out drinking too late and just decided not to do the work. But all right. But yeah, and thank you guys for dealing with our chaos.
Too many vodka lemonades to go around, I guess, for him, but that's all right. At the end of the day, we'll see if he can bring it back at Talladega. Thanks again, Lawrence, and congratulations.
Yep, thank you.
Happy birthday to the birthday boy at 34. Robert Lawrence gets himself a second place finish, but the guy that we're going to talk to next, I think there was no doubt in some people's minds, Janzik wins another one and takes it home at Bristol, of all things. You know, Janzik, this is not an easy track to really get it dialed up and figured out, but you had tore up that right front, but it tore up enough to win this one.
Yeah, I don't really. I have to. I don't know. I'm so grateful to have actually brought this one home because it certainly it didn't feel great at the end. I mean, I was destroying right fronts. I'm talking those that know. My right fronts were consistently 15% worse than Robbie's. So I have no idea how any of this has happened, but I am so grateful for it. The Vassar Sullivan Lexus Sealmaster lookalike car that I made here looked really good on track. It was obviously a rocket ship, and I don't know how it ended up where it did. Honestly, I feel like if Holden pitted with the rest of us at about the race split, this was definitely his. But for some reason, he stayed out. I think he maybe wanted to trap us all a lap down. I'm not honestly so sure. But had he not, I think this would have been his. Just because by the end of these runs, I mean, I hit the plateau so hard that it. I don't know, man. I'm really happy to be locked in with a chance to race for the championship now, and can kind of just go have fun these next 2 weeks, especially at Talladega. I think we all know how much fun that's going to be. But yeah, man, I'm a little lost for words here. This is awesome.
That brings us to our biggest question too. Now that you have got that win locked up, and now you kind of can just go out there and just do your own thing. I mean, do you plan to try to still pop up into victory lane, or are you gonna think maybe just kind of lay off a little bit for some of the other guys to have their chance?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Talladega presents me with an opportunity to maybe get an Olson performance guy with me in the championship 4 locked in, whether that's Meeks or Robbie, whatever it might be. It gives me a really good opportunity to help one of them, and I think that's what we're going to aim for. Of course, if the last lap comes around and I don't have anybody like that I can trust that I trust that I can work with, kind of brings up a different story, But Homestead's going to come around, and that's going to be a really interesting track to run in these cars as well. We have no experience with this. That type of configuration of a track is just going to be really different to try to see where we're going to generate speed. I don't know if it's going to be up at the fence or what, but I'm looking forward to figuring it out and then going to Phoenix and just putting all our eggs in that basket there, trying to go win us another championship in the Champion Power Equipment Cup Series. It'd be great to have two.
For sure there. Well, nevertheless though, Janzik, at the end of the day, you got the win and you got locked in. So who do you want to thank for all of it?
Yeah, man, got to thank Champion Power Equipment for their league support. It's an honor to be able to represent their brand and put on a great show like we did here today. Thanks again to Elite Performance Industries, RaceCPI.com, Fresh Juice iRacing Designs, the Freeburn Hot Wings Morning Show. Everybody that watches every week, I'm so grateful for, and you guys at the broadcast is always incredible. So thank you for that, and we'll come back in 2 weeks with another shot at a victory, but also with that little bit of a team ownership stake in mind. We'll see what we can do there.
For sure there. All right, Janzik, nevertheless, congratulations, locking yourself in. We can't wait to see what happens from here.
Oh yeah, bud. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're locked in for the final race of the season. Championships contender 0-2, Craig Janzik. So that brings me to my final question. who is next? Who is going to be able to now get into that final spot, that gets the final chances with these next couple races coming up? I mean, we got Talladega up next, and I mentioned earlier if there was going to be a track that was going to give those drivers I mentioned earlier, like Harris, Mann Jr., Young, Taylor, Forsythe, Meeks, any of those guys, even Childs, I feel like it is that track. Like, I feel like that is going to be where they're most aggressive, they're most vulnerable, and frankly, just they're most insane and chaotic they can be. So, whatever their limits are and whatever they're going to push themselves to, that all falls on them. So, my final thoughts is this. It is no surprise we saw Janta come out here and fight and put up everything he had to get to this point and win. But now all drivers have to face their biggest and toughest adversary yet, which is themselves in 2.66 miles of absolute painstaking concrete speed and asphalt endurance. That is what lies ahead for them. So who will take it home then? Find out with us here in due time. But for now, thank you so much to our friends at Champion Power Equipment and everybody that tuned on to the show tonight. Glad to see our stream finally got somewhat fixed up, and I'm hoping it stays that way. But for now, race fans, from all of us here at Pizza Race TV, thank you so much. We love you guys. See you next time when the green is flying.